President Donald Trump had promised to rein in the cost of energy. I'm going to lower your electric bill. But in reality, of course, his signature accomplishment, the big, beautiful bill, is actually going to increase people's energy bills. That's right. According to an analysis by Energy Innovation, an energy and climate policy think tank, rising energy costs in the United States will become even more severe for households across the country due to Trump's big, beautiful bill. Wait a minute. How so? Well, for one, they stripped away support for any of the cheap solar and wind energy production. In fact, doing that will cause electricity rates paid by families and businesses to rise as much as 18% by 2035. Oops. Household energy costs will rise by $170 on average each year, the report finds, with red states actually bearing the brunt of the increases. For example, bills in Missouri will end up going up the most by $640 a year, with the next largest increases in Kentucky, South Carolina, Oklahoma, North Carolina, and Texas. And there you go. Man, look at all them red states. I mean, yes, you got like four blue states in there: Minnesota, Maryland, California, and Colorado. Again, this is energy policy that affects all of us in the country. And so the big, beautiful bill, it affects all of us, and it's going to raise all of our prices, but it is hitting Trump's own voters the hardest. Because, of course. So, inflation go up, tariff, they make prices go up, and now you've got energy prices set to go up. It's almost like, I don't know, Republican economic policies actually suck for average people. For working people, I know, terrible, right? In fact, the only people that seem to win here under Trump and Republicans happen to be the rich and powerful. But, okay, I haven't explained how this is going to raise the costs. Well, it's going to raise costs by wiping out all the tax credits and stuff for renewables, which will stymie wind and solar projects that are now cheaper than natural gas or coal, which will force utilities to rely more on heavily on existing inefficient gas generators. So now that's according to Energy Innovation, which of course will push up energy costs across the U.S., particularly in states that have not enacted their own policies to boost renewable energy. Now, Dan O'Brien, senior analyst at Energy Innovation and author of the new study, said demand for electricity is increasing, and without renewables, we aren't able to meet that new demand. Yes, it is the classic supply and demand issue. Okay. Now, he said, we've seen U.S. power prices generally fall over the past 75 years, but with this bill, for the first time, we will see sustained increases in power costs. Now, of course, that's going to have a much more, a much bigger impact on people in red states, low income. In fact, lower income folks in rural areas in red states will have compounding impacts from this bill. Their states voted to pass this, but it will really harm them in the long term. Great. So, MAGA voters, you voted for energy dominance, and now we are all going to be dominated by fossil fuels. Good job. Great. And look, electricity prices for American households have already increased above the rate of inflation since 2022, driven by what? AI. Yes, that's right. Data centers for artificial intelligence, which are sucking up all the power. They're sucking up a lot of the water. And, that means there's less for the rest of us. For actual living human beings, there's less power and less water. And it's going to be more expensive. Great. Awesome. Currently, around 34 million households reported that they are energy insecure, meaning that they have difficulty being able to pay their energy bills. This was back in 2020. Now it is going to get worse, much worse. In fact, according to Michelle Graff, an energy policy expert at the Georgia Institute of Technology, A lot of people are struggling, and it's a hardship that's often not highlighted. Lower income people, as well as those who are Black, Hispanic, elderly, have young children, or live in poorly constructed and badly insulated homes, are most at risk of this sort of energy insecurity. For a lot of these folks, she says, even an extra $10 on their bill each month will result in difficult trade-offs, such as foregoing medicines or food for their families. Increasing those bills month after month will have a big impact upon households on the margins. Yes. Though, to be fair, at least rich people will be able to afford another yacht. I mean, trade-offs, everybody. Trade-offs. But no, here's the thing. Seriously, though. There are states that have programs that do help people struggling to pay their bills. Unfortunately, now, because of this bill, because of the Trump administration, specifically getting rid of federal support for these programs, they will no longer be able to exist. And if they do, they will not be able to help all the people that are going to need it. So right now, the Trump administration is looking to eliminate the Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program, known as LHEAP, which aids currently around 6 million households with their electric bill. The reconciliation bill also deleted subsidies for the construction of energy-efficient homes and upgrades to home cooling, heating, and insulation systems, which Graff said of the LHEAP program is a lifeline for many, many Americans. Quote, there is a mismatch where the hardships are getting worse while we are cutting assistance for people to address that hardship. How much worse? Well, across the U.S., utilities have pushed for $29 billion in higher rates so far this year. That's a 142% increase than the same period in 2024. That is a disaster. So it is much, much more expensive. But I think it's by design. Why do I say that? Because the right wing wants people to suffer. They really, really do. They want people to be poor, desperate, uneducated, and just healthy enough to work for lower and lower wages. This is how you enslave a population without actually calling it slavery. And if people die, well, that's okay, for them. I mean, they already are dying as a result of some of these high energy bills. For example, last month, Shauna Thomas, 55-year-old woman, was found dead in her stiflingly hot St. Louis, Missouri apartment after her electricity was halted for non-payment. She couldn't afford to pay her electricity bill. And you just happen to have been, under a heat dome, which cooks, the temperatures, cooks the people in their own apartments, especially if you don't have any way to alleviate that. And so, yeah, this is what's happening. Extreme heat now is the leading weather-related cause of death in the U.S., and it's only going to get worse. I mean, it used to be the fact that, oh, no, long, cold winters, we need help, keeping people warm in the wintertime. And so we got to get federal funding for that. Well, no longer. It's now heat-related that is the problem. Okay, it used to be the lack of heat. Now it's the overabundance of heat, thanks to climate change. And yet, this administration is not only doing policy to accelerate the rate of climate change, they're also doing it in a way that is going to cost us more money. So it's a double whammy. Because of course it is. And it's all so that these politicians and their lobbyists can pad the pockets of their donors.